You know who life is hard for? The Ship of Heroes developer. This is an extremely me-focused drama. I have spoken at fair length on this podcast, as well as in some old videos, about my love for the semi-defunct MMO City of Heroes. I first discovered it when I made my original Dead MMOs video, where I talked about MMOs that had died and then been resurrected via private, I call them legacy servers. And I had such a good impression that it's the only game. I've now made 2 of those videos, and it's the only game of the 6 that I talked about that I continue to go back to every once in a while. And sometimes I get really into it for a little bit. I'm looking at the word wizardry on my screen. So City of Heroes is a genuinely, in my opinion, I think it's a great game and a very interesting alternative. I say alternative take on an MMO, but it was sort of in some ways an evolutionary dead end because it was never really copied once it ended service. It was sort of blown out by the sheer popularity of World of Warcraft and the tropes that WoW introduced into the genre, to the point that if you're used to MMOs, there's a good chance that you'll boot up City of Heroes and be very confused about how progression works. How there's no gear system, there's not really an inventory. Well, how does this work? Well, yeah, there are systems that kind of fill in, serve similar roles, but in a different way. It's a game that's focused on building out the inherent powers of your character and existing within a cool superhero setting. That's like the appeal of City of Heroes, is the character creation and the world. And the gameplay is fine. I will never say that City of Heroes has the greatest gameplay of any MMO. I would never go even close to saying that. But it's cool. And again, because you like and the character that you're playing as, it's just kind of cool to play as that character and do stuff. Especially when you get the higher and higher level powers from the power sets you've chosen. Now, something interesting about the City of Heroes community is that the game ran from 2004 to City of Heroes shut down. When did that happen? 2012. It shut down in 2012 to the chagrin of the player base. It was going strong. Like it was a game that was not killed because of its own failure. It was, for all intents and purposes, killed because of its publisher, NCSoft, the Grim Reaper of MMOs. NCSoft killed the game because it was not, they owned like 20 MMOs, and it was not in their top 7 or whatever, despite the fact that it had a consistent, strong player base and was apparently making more money after they switched to a free-to-play model. The game was killed off quite cruelly, and that led to a lot of upset feelings. And hey, what's something that happens when a lot of players of a game, when you got all these players who are ripped out of their favorite game very suddenly and for no real good reason, what do? They say, we're gonna make our own game with blackjack and hookers. So there were a number of small teams that attempted to make spiritual successors to City of Heroes. Now, some of them actually did come out. Hang on, let me just look up, because there were a couple. Okay, Valiance Online, City of Titans, Heroes and Villains, Red Side, which apparently was, I'm just reading off a list here from MMO Fallout, apparently supposed to be specifically a follow-up to City of Villains, which was a chunk of City of Heroes. There were a couple of these. Champions Online, which is the only one that has like kind of a budget and came out. The other ones either squandered in development hell and never came out, or they're in like perpetual alpha, beta, because it's hard to make these games. Well, all of these basically got blown out of the water when it was discovered a few years ago that people had been hosting private City of Heroes servers that were invite only, that you kind of had to know someone to get invited, and they had a strict privacy policy. And it was this like secretive thing because they were worried about getting sued or whatever. And then one way or another, I forget exactly how it happened, the word got out. Eventually the cat got out of the bag. Hey, people are still playing City of Heroes, and a lot of those private servers went public. The two most popular ones would be Homecoming and Rebirth. Personally, I'm a Homecoming player. Rebirth, they have their own design philosophy. Both are attempts to preserve the original while adding additional content. They have their own content. And they just have different design philosophies. Personally, I like Homecoming. It's got a nice big population, and it's cool, and I love the game. And I got to play the game. Now, this put a lot of these would-be successors in a very awkward situation, because they were making kind of scrappy successors to this game that everyone thought was dead and gone and not playable anymore. And now it turns out that the original game is actually just back, and you can go play it, and it's fine. So now you are left with this question. Do we even continue? Do we even bother? We all just wanted to play City of Heroes again. We can. Do we keep doing it? Do we keep working on this project? And yeah, I think some of them gave up. A lot of them, however, some of them kept on trucking. Some of them tried to make their own, kind of go off in their own direction. It's like a whole scene of City of Heroes successors. Well, one of those has just come out. One that I discovered a while ago, back when I was making my video, called Ship of Heroes. So Ship of Heroes is one of these kin. And the reason I'm talking about it, if it just came out and flopped, I probably wouldn't say anything about it. But there is a certain surreality to suddenly going onto YouTube and seeing some MMO YouTubers making videos about the not only bad, but disastrous launch of Ship of Heroes. I saw someone's thumbnail. The name of the game was not in the title, because who the fuck... That's not SEO bait. Ship of Heroes is not SEO bait. And I just saw an image of the game that was partially cropped. And I went, is that Ship of Heroes? And it was. So, I remember looking up a couple videos of it when it was in development and thinking, it looks like a project. You know, good on them for trying. I won't shame them for the effort. Am I gonna play it? Well, it depends, I guess, on what it looks like when it comes out. I might try it out. I don't know if I would have tried it out if I found out it was a $60 upfront purchase. And this is where you're like, oh, this is totally fucked. This is completely fucked. Dude, it's not 2007 anymore. You can't launch an MMO for $60 upfront. And they try to justify the business model. A big part of this whole kerfuffle is that the lead developer is incredibly combative and super defensive of his game. And I get it. You worked on this for a long, long time. It's been like 12 years. But man, a lot of people just found out about it. And they do not give a fuck how long you took to work on a game that you are charging $60 for that you should not be charging $60 for. Like, there are you can't launch an MMO like that, man. I don't think you can launch any I don't think you can launch a game like that, any kind of persistent online game, for more than $10, maybe $20. Path of Exile is selling for like $30. Path of Exile 2 is selling for like $30 because it's in a beta. And once it comes out, it'll be free to play. But it's like, this is a beta, and this is our way of funding further development. Cool. I'm fine with that. I can hold off on that. I'm not going to like put that past them. They've established that they can make a good game. If you're just some random small team and you're like, with all of the games vying for your attention in all of the genres, with, mind you, one of those being the literal game that they are trying to be, that is free to play and has a good population and gets somewhat frequent updates, like content updates. They add new power sets. They add new raids. You cannot. You just can't do this shit, man. Like, psychologically, you cannot put that in front of someone because they're just gonna go, it's not worth it. I don't. You need to have some, like, okay, just off the top of my head, free trial with a oh my god, it's not just $60, it's also like a $10 or $15 subscription monthly. Buying the game comes with, I believe, a full month of game time, but it's $15 a month after that. Fucking crazy. No. What? Like, okay, I have the games. It is $15, right? No, the store page. God, mostly negative. Mostly negative reviews. They do not have it listed on the store page, at least not easily findable on the store page. So yeah, it's just you need some kind of try before you buy. That's why free-to-play models, as much bullshit as they do add into the equation, they're successful for a reason. They give the audience a no upfront pressure. Yeah, sure, I'll try it. It's free. What's the worst that could happen? And then you reward the developers. Hopefully that's how it worked, and it's not like weird scummy tactics like, I don't know, there's tons of ways that you can be unethical about it. But then the idea is that you pay in microtransactions after the fact. That is your way of giving back. Paying for the game. And those can be sustainable even if the majority of people never buy anything and you just have a couple whales. You cannot launch something for $60 with nothing to your name and ask that much of people. And the problem is that anytime people bring this up, even in nice ways, like constructive ways, the developer is super dismissive and is like, he claims he's getting review bombed. He claims that people are out to get him. He keeps posting about all of the features that the game has. And what's so he's super fixated. It's clear that he has no idea what he's doing. He is super fixated on the optimization and the frame rate and how many players they could fit into a raid. That's That's his selling point. The game runs really well. He keeps bringing this up. The game runs really well with 50 players on screen. And it's like, dude, we're not getting that far. No one's getting into these raids. They aren't playing them. Let's go to the community hub. Wait, what is this? Hang on. The devs made an announcement. Oh, good. They've made a patch. They've made an announcement about the pricing model. The price is going to be dropped after 30 days. They're dropping $30? Like what? That's still too high. That is still way too high. I haven't even talked about the actual game. So, first of all, the game looks bad. It arguably looks worse than City of Heroes, which came out in 2004, but does have a modicum of stylization to it. Personally, I play with the cell shading filter on, which some people hate. I think it makes the game look really cool, personally. You can tell it's not really designed with that in mind, but I like using the cell shading mod, and I think it's way more pleasing than how Ship of Heroes looks. They have that horrible... I'd call it like a graphical uncanny valley, where it's some... I don't know if this is made in Unity, but it has that really high... It's really high quality in some places, and really simple in other places. Like... The textures look good. The models look fine. The lighting is bad. It's super simplistic. It's got... Everything is really bright. It's a little too shiny. I'm looking at like some of these screenshots that are being posted, and the game practically looks full bright in a lot of these shots. It's like the same problem as the Deus Ex remaster. Everything's just way too bright, and the lights are way too intense. There's too much volume on everything, on all the lighting sources. And there's absolutely no... And it makes some of the bad, like, smooth, shiny-looking stuff in the game look even worse. I did a quick... look up. I watched a video of the character creation process, and I can confirm it has a worse character creator than City of Heroes. There are less options. The menu is organized worse, and there are less powers. Like cosmetic and gameplay wise, it is worse. City of Heroes has honestly an overwhelming amount of options. Like you just do like archetype selection, and you're choosing your first power sets, your power set for your character, your primary and secondary, and you're like, whoa, this is a lot. And a lot of them have distinct mechanics and little twists and stuff like that. They're not just palette swaps of things. Wildly different. And it turns out you're like, well, okay, well, what's optimal? Maybe I can go look up what's optimal. The game is well balanced enough that it's almost mathematically impossible to come up with the super optimal, most optimal build. So genuinely, it's just whatever you think is cool, which is a great boon to the game in the long run, because really it's about making a character that you think is cool or whatever else. And numbers don't really factor in. It's not much of a min-maxer's game, which some people might be disappointed with if you like MMOs for certain reasons. But yeah, it's not really a min-maxer's game. Ship of Heroes just does not have the number of powers or variety of options available. The visual looks are really, really basic. nothing really pops. There's a couple cool looking, decent looking, like full sets of appearance whatevers, of costume pieces, but nothing go look up the original Living Dead MMOs video and just watch the segment where I go through the City of Heroes character creator. And when I just click random over and over again, just look at the sheer variety of stuff that pops up. From colors to all sorts of different costume pieces with wildly different themes to different types of heads. You can't have an animal head or a floating head. You can't make your head a big eyeball or a floating skull or a fish tank in Ship of Heroes. All things that you can do in City of Heroes. Just basic cosmetic options. There are no patterns. That's another thing. There's a really cool, it's almost like a one of those limitations breed innovation things where they could only put so many different costume pieces into the game. So there is this additional customization layer, which are patterns. And even on top of that, you can put like symbols on top of certain parts of your character. But the patterns, there's like dozens and dozens and literally dozens of different patterns that you can put on different parts of the character's body and then color those individually. So you can get, like, for instance, I made a character the other day because I was literally in the character creator the other day, and I wanted to have sort of like a mesh. How would I call it? Like a superhero suit, but with a little bit of the. It's like spandex, but like a crisscrossing, like a slightly more detail, almost like a mesh over it, or like a mesh pattern on it. So that's what I did, as if it had like texture, almost like the Man of Steel suit, something like that. And all I did was just I took like a plain spandex design, and then I put like a mesh pattern over it, and I colored it just dark enough that it made it look like it had a real texture to it. And it looks good. It actually looks like a good design. I would just click random sometimes, and I would be like, wow, that's a cool looking character. A lot of times it's just random craziness, but sometimes it hits you with something genuinely really interesting looking. That feels like a character out of a real comic book. And I'm like, wow, I actually want to tweak this a little bit because this is such a good foundation. I want to hold on this. Just options that are just not there in Ship of Heroes. There's a couple capes. Customization on the capes is limited. They don't have the auras. They don't have power customization. In City of Heroes, you can change the color scheme of either of your power sets. You can go individually power by power and make their particle effects totally different looking. And there's even presets. There's presets and alternate. Some of them have alternate particle effects that you can then change the color scheme on. So you can be like, so a lot of people take nuclear radiation blast, whatever that one is, nuclear blast or radiation blast, because it has. That's the one that lets you do X-ray eyes. You do laser eye beams. People love having laser eyes. And I believe the default is green, but you can change it if you want to make Cyclops from the X-Men. You can make it, or Superman. You can take that and just color it red if you want. Options that are not there. And it was like, yeah, wow, this game just genuinely has, and in my opinion, that's the one of the most core aspects of COH. Is that it's like a superhero fantasy. And Ship of Heroes just does not have as good of a character creator. And the problem is that if you have a bad launch on a game like this, unless you're Final Fantasy XIV, you kind of can't you're probably not going to come back from that. I'm going to be honest. Like, this game is probably not going to last unless the guy is just paying for it out of pocket. Maybe he'll just fund. Apparently, I saw the comment, unsubstantiated, but someone said that they were in the Discord for this game for a few years, and that the lead developer is some retired guy in his 60s. And it's like, yeah, that kind of tracks. He might just be paying for this with his infinite pension fund or his payoffs from stock investments or something like that. He's just like a Gen Xer boomer who is trying to recreate the City of Heroes experience, but worse and more limited. But he might just keep it supported for years from that sweet pension money, from that Social Security that I will never see. My mom was telling me that she was getting really serious about saving now. She's close to her 60s, and she's still working, and she's getting real serious about saving and her finances and stuff. And because she was like, she did some research, and she found out that she's only gonna get like, her Social Security is gonna be like $70 a month. The social safety net. Like, great, you might be able to buy 2 meals. It's not even like a week's worth of groceries. Yeah, instead the Social Security fund is going, it's going towards paying for Ship of Heroes server costs. Jesus. Yeah. In some ways I feel bad, but the developer has such a bad attitude and is so in his own world, I kind of can't. My desire to feel bad and feel empathy for someone who basically had their project nullified is removed by how bad their attitude is. But I will not tell you to go play Ship of Heroes. I will tell you to go play City of Heroes on one of its existing legacy servers. It's a great time. I think City of Villains, if you make a villain character, I think the City of Villains content is actually better. At least at the start, because it came later. But yeah, it's a game I very much enjoy. And hey, it's a free download, and it's the best character creator of any MMO ever. So go check that out.